So do you imagine these different FROs communicating with each other to try and share their expertise? Like maybe the machine learning FRO is talking to the neuroscience FRO to try and do better data analytics or something like that.
I think that's definitely true on like the structure and operating a small team side, especially because we're pulling so many people out of academia where they've run academic labs, or they've run academic projects, or they've worked as a postdoc for a long time, but they haven't run a startup. And so making sure that everyone collaborates on how to run a team, how to build a team, how to be a nonprofit, how to file your 990 at the end of the year. We really want to make all of those resources available to make it very easy. But I do think that there's also going to be like cross-disciplinary talk on the projects. The ones we're considering thus far, I don't think have a whole lot of overlap, which is very fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of meta-level overlap. How do you hire someone? Yeah, what's a reasonable salary to pay? Those kinds of things. Those are hard questions too. And so there's a lot of structural overlap. I also hope that this is much longer term, and it's not just FROs, it's also other kinds of para-academic research institutes or structures that are being spun up in different settings, but that we could create a kind of still very much research focused but non-academic path where you could potentially work at one FRO, then go work at another FRO, maybe then go work at a company, come back, be part of an institute, go to another FRO. That would be great, so that people don't feel constrained by a more linear, trajectory. I think often if you're imagining that you only have a certain linear trajectory that you can go on, or one of a few, then that not only constrains where you go then, but also constrains what you do now, right? And so ideally, you don't have as much constraints, right?
I think we see this a lot in like ML, right? Where ML researchers are really free to move between different types of organizations and do different types of work kind of wherever they think they'll be most impactful or they'll have the most fun. And there's meaningful work to be done in lots of different organizations.
I think that's definitely a needed space because, I came from an industry background before I came here. And hearing kind of the academic track is kind of horrifying to me because you hear there's like, okay, you're a grad student and then you go and do a postdoc for a little bit and you're in very high demand as a postdoc, but then all of these postdocs now want to become professors and there's a very low turnover for professors. And then once you're a professor, you're chasing tenure, and it seems like this very kind of scary situation to be in. And so I think it's great that there's not only industry, but these other groups that are popping up to be able to support people who just want to do science and have these productive projects that they can work on. So I guess another thing I would have to ask is, where do I sign up to join an FRO? And kind of like, where, if someone who is watching this or someone who is interested in joining one of these FROs or starting one of their own FROs, how would they do that? Would they contact you guys? Or?
So I think that on the starting side, 100% contact us. There is an email address, which I think is abstracts@convergentresearch.org. So send us a 2-pager or send us a tweet and say, hi, I have an idea. And then we'll work to develop ideas and evaluate them. We're looking to do some sort of cohort process and launch a couple new FROs every year. And then there are jobs open for our current FROs on the Convergent Research website. E11 Bio and Cultivarium are the 2 FROs that are running within Convergent Research, and they are looking for all sorts of scientists across a whole bunch of different fields and technicians. They're going to try to scale to small startup-sized teams, so 15 to 20 in the next 8 months, and so they have plenty of hires to make. But mostly I think we just want to talk to people who are interested about the idea and who are passionate about this work.
Yeah, a few other comments about that. So Astera is also interested in this. They also have a contact on their website. There's also, we call it a FRO-inspired project. It's not exactly a FRO because it's not a totally independent nonprofit, but called the Rejuvenome. That's about aging biology. That's also hiring people. I think that the other thing to say is that we're interested in this at every stage. Because again, it's not going to be thousands and thousands of FROs. I think it's going to be really trying to hit specific bottlenecks. So we're interested in sort of this idea of bottleneck analysis. What is a field structurally missing? If you had this data set, if you had this system, if you had this tool, but maybe nobody's incentivized in the right way to build that, then you could 10x some other part of the field or multiple fields. So just finding those things and having more discussion about them online, what have you, and saying, here's a thing where if you built it, it would 10x a field, but nobody can currently get funded to build that or get organized to build that. We want to know that. And in some cases, we can even potentially support some of that road mapping activity to elicit that knowledge, release white papers, publish analyses, and so on, that would indicate, what those possible directions are for other philanthropists, for the government, for us, and just for other scientists to coordinate based on that information.